she's not happy about that at all.
So she checked me, and when I say she checked me, y'all,
I ain't trying to put my mama on blast. However, my mama had a mean streak in her back in the day. She's not like that with us now, because we all grown and we all can walk away, or we can get in our car and leave, or we can just choose not to talk if you're gonna go there. Well, honey, back in the day, Steph ain't had no car. I couldn't like be running from her and stuff.
Child, it was like them 2 weeks of all the buildup. She finally went off. She went into a rage. She started calling me all kinds of names, and I'm a whore because I got pregnant and I'm not married. I'm just like, fuck, I just cannot win for lose when it. So my mom come downstairs, and you know, she trying to bully Eileen to let her come in the house, and Eileen was like,
nope, Rose, Stephanie is not here. You're not coming in my house, and you're not bringing that bullshit down here.
So my mama left,
and James was en route, okay? He was en route to come get me.
And I went to his house. Now, because we were going through like all of this stuff with my mama, I guess that's when like his mama
realized like this lady is not gonna like let up on you like at all.
I got to their house and I stayed the night, and then the next day my grandmother had called. My grandmother told me to come to her house. James got me to my grandma's house, and my grandmother got my mama over there, and my grandma was just like,
you know, Rose, first of all, you're not gonna be hitting on Steph. You know, Steph is pregnant, and you know, this is not the end of the world. And she was like, you know, if she had called the police on you, they would take your ass to jail. And she was like, because you're endangering her life plus her unborn child's life. So
my grandmother had to like break stuff down to my mama, and she and my Aunt Maddie was the only people that like she would really listen to. When all of this happened, you know, my husband's mother was feeling some kind of way. She was in her feelings, and she was just like, you know,
why are you putting yourself through all of this just to be with this girl? And she was like, you know, if I was you, I would just put myself on child support, and I would just take care of my baby, and I wouldn't deal with her and her mama. She was like, it's just too much.
Like I told y'all, Salon always been ride or die.
Always been ride or die.
And so that being said, he was like, nope, he loved me and he see a future with me, and he is just not going, he ain't going out like that. Well, after that whole ordeal, you know, the rest of the pregnancy went fine. Okay, went fine. You know, James was paying for me to go to these doctor's appointments. He was working 2 jobs at the time, and child, at that time, honey, he was giving me like his whole check, you know, to just make sure stuff was straight and the baby I'm carrying was straight. And he always sacrificed and always been a man of his word. He was telling me that, you know, we're gonna eventually get married. And
I wasn't believing him. I don't even lie. I wasn't believing him, because how many men tell you that and this shit never happened?
well,
Mr. Long.
now y'all know why I would cut somebody by him.
Because he never played that shit with nobody like coming for me or trying to hurt me or anything like that. So
when you find a man like this at such a young age, it's like you gotta grab onto him and hold on to him.
Now I'm gonna fast forward to when I gave birth at the hospital.
My mama made such a big commotion about her insurance was paying for the delivery and all of this. Therefore, she was gonna be in the delivery room with me. Now, I was in labor for 18 hours. When I called James and told him that I was on my way to the hospital,
he beat me to the hospital, okay? I was closer to the hospital than he was, but he beat me there. You know, he didn't argue with her. He did nothing. He was just like, okay. But my mama stole a very, very significant moment from him. That when we had Jada, the shit wasn't going down like that. He was not having it.
Okay, y'all, this is that gel liner by Absolute in the color chocolate, and I am about to use the color Stone by MAC.
This was a very quick beat, okay, because I really want to tell y'all this story.
With all of that, the moment got stole from him.
And basically, when I say we went through hell and back.
I had Jasmine 2 weeks early. Mama was in the delivery room. I had to have an emergency C-section. I tell y'all, after I gave birth, I could not get well for the life of me.
And it was because of all the stress that just surrounded me when it came to my mother. Well, I was at my grandmother's house one afternoon. This is like, Jasmine wasn't even 2 weeks old now. Let me just put that out there.
We had just come from Aventura Mall in Miami. Went to my grandma's house, and my mama said she was going back to the mall, or she was going somewhere, and that she'll be back later. Well, my grandma was already fussing at her about why did she have me out? Why she had me out in the air, in the streets? And you know, I just had a major surgery. So I'm sitting at the house with grandma, with Jasmine, and James calls me at my grandma's house, and he asked me could he come pick me up. He wanted to take the baby to go see his mother.
And so I was like, yeah, that's fine.
So he gets over there. I paged her and I told her that I was going with James to go with the baby.
Child, why the hell did I do that? My mama got her butt back in the car and she came back to my grandma's house. James was there when she got back now.
And he was like, he had the baby bag on his shoulder. He packed up, he ready to go. And my mom was like, walked in the door like she He-Man now, okay? And she was like,
that baby ain't going nowhere.
and he was like, yes she is, this is my child. And she was like,
Over my dead body.
He looked at her like, what you gonna do? And so
she got up in his face, y'all, okay? In his face, they was like this. And he could smell her breath, and I'm pretty sure she could smell his.
child, my mama told him,
you ain't taking that baby nowhere.
God bless the beautiful, sweet Miss Lissy Hall soul. Cause my grandma jumped in between my mama and James and got in my mama's face. Now they was face to face like this. And
my grandma said, if you do not get out this boy's face, I will slap the living shit out of you.
she backed down.
She backed down real quick.
And she was like, but mama nothing. You got her out. He just wanted to take the baby to go see his mama. What's wrong with that? She
So why the mama couldn't come to the hospital? All the commotion that you caused at the hospital? His mama didn't want to come and do all that shit. Y'all already know she wasn't feeling me around that time now, okay? This is so much drama going on.
So at that point, I made a decision. James decided not to take the baby because he was just like, he just did not want no issues with my mama. And knowing that I lived with her, how he gonna come see me and Jasmine if he got issues with her? So he was trying to take the high road and like be like, okay, I'm not gonna deal with this.
Rose still wasn't having that, y'all. She wasn't.
So because of that whole ordeal, and it was just like, it was gonna be non-stop, she said, let's go.
I told her I wasn't going with her. Third time now, I didn't have to remind her I'm grown.
Because I was scared for my safety when it came to my mama. And it's just because she was so hot-tempered and she just believed in, like, she reacts. And that's just how she was at that time.
But back in the day, honey, woo! I'm like nervous telling y'all this story, okay?
She just didn't do well with that. And she was like,
You're not leaving with me.
and I was like, no, I'm not. And so she was like,
Oh, well, you know what? If you're not coming with me, then you know you're going to have to figure it out.
and I was like, no problem. I cried that night because, of course, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm about to do. But I just know that at the time, I wasn't feeling well. I couldn't get better. And my Aunt Maddie, she stepped in again and she took me to her house. She set up their guest room for me and Jasmine. And she was like,
I'm going to help you get better. She's like, Steph, you look horrible.
my aunt took me to the doctor's the next day because she was like, I kept keeping a temperature and stuff. She took me, my doctor was like, I look like the Walking Dead, okay? Because I just was not getting better, and it's been 2 weeks, okay?
My aunt, she refused to let my mom come visit me. When I tell y'all, my mama wasn't giving up no milk, no clothes, no Pampers, no nothing. She wasn't doing none of that, okay? She was like being hardcore with me. But you know what?
Every time you give somebody ultimatum and like you wanting them to choose, and clearly that was not the choice that I was not supposed to choose my mama at that time. I was supposed to choose to live for me, and that's it. And she just was not, she wasn't grasping that. So after me being at my aunt's house for like 2 weeks, and she had to nurse me back to health and stuff like that, me and James, we managed to make a way. And when I tell y'all, he was buying me clothes, buying me panties, buying, Jasmine Pampers and milk. And yeah, it was a struggle. However, we did what we had to do. And you know, it brings me to this.
I am very, 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 very blessed to have found, he found me, let's just put it like that. We were friends first, so we knew each other inside and out, and I was just very blessed to find the man that I ended up marrying, and I've been married to for 21 years now.
I wouldn't change nothing about our story. I wouldn't change nothing, because everything that we have went through all been for a reason, and it made us stronger, and it made us like this.
Nobody can come between what me and him have.
Nobody.
Fast forward 4 months later,
My husband decided that he was going to go into the military, and I was dead set against it. Dead set I wasn't being supportive because I had already dated somebody that was in the military, and the shit just didn't work out. And I was like, I'm not going to be that girl sitting around waiting for you. And he was like, well, you're not going to have to, because I'm going to marry you before I leave. And I was like, whatever. I didn't believe him.
May 12th, 1994, James made plans to propose to me at this party his mom was throwing.
I was acting stank-a-dank, and I was not giving the brother his moment to shine. He wanted to do it in front of my whole family and his family. And I was being stank that night, and he was just like, he got mad with me. He was like, I'm taking you home. So we had a detour. We went to the beach, and when I tell y'all I was being an asshole, I was being an asshole. We standing on the pier looking at the water, looking at the ship going by, and he was like, isn't this beautiful? And I was like, no. I was being a straight bitch, okay?
So he was like, you know what, I'm done.
We was walking back to the car, and he just stopped me. And he sat me down on the lounging chair. When I saw him get down on his one knee, I already knew what was about to happen. Or it all dawned on me what he was trying to do all evening.
He was like, you know, Steph, he was like, I love you. I love my daughter. And he was like, I want us to be a family. And I told you I was going to marry you before I went to the army. And he was like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Would you be my wife?
Now, y'all, I had to put the brother on pause for just a few seconds because I was taking it all in. And because I guess my pause wasn't as short of a pause as I thought it was, child, he was like,
Please don't say no.
and I was like, yes! Yes, I'll marry you! Yes!
And so, yes, we told my whole family the next day, we told his family, and y'all, in 1 week, because James was leaving to go to the army on May 23rd. On May 21st, 7 days later, Stephanie and James had a wedding. We had a beautiful wedding. It was inexpensive. It was a garden wedding. Our family was there to share our experience. And yes, before he left on May 23rd, 1994,
I was Mrs. Long, honey.
Mrs. L-O-N-G. You feel me?
I married the man, and I'm glad I snatched him off the market when I did, because everything in my life that has happened since we became one has been nothing but a beautiful blessing.
And I pray that my daughters are able to experience a love like this one day. And just to know how it feels for a man to just have your back 100%. Honey, he don't let nobody talk about me, and I don't let nobody talk about him.
I will F you up if you talk about Mr. Long, okay? And I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are.
You could be Rose, the DNA, you could be family, you could be friends. I will go off on you about him, and he is the same way about me. We don't play that shit. And you know what? That's what's missing in a lot of marriages and relationships these days. Have couples, man and woman, don't have each other's back to the fullest. And until you learn that, until you establish and build and grow on that, you'll never be 100% in. You don't play that shit. His money, my money, his money. We are in this together. Ain't no my in shit. We threw away all those type of pronouns the day we said I do. Y'all will never ever hear us say my, I, We say ours, we, us, together. That is what we are. So, I hope you guys take away from this story time with Steph. You decide to get with somebody, first of all, make sure you're picking the right one, okay? And sometimes you don't know that on the first go round. I know some people that they've been married several times and they still ain't got it right. And it's not that you didn't get it right. You have to build off of the foundation that you have with the person that you plan on spending your life with. And if you can't give yourself completely to this person, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Don't do it. Don't. Marriage is a covenant before God, and God smiles upon marriages if you put him first. So the only person that is involved in James and Stephanie's relationship other than James and Stephanie is the good Lord up above. That's it.